So guys, I just finished up my recent photo shoot prep and things were very different this time around. And this is what I wanted to jump on here because I very much relate to a lot of you guys where we're super busy, we have a lot on our plate. And this photo shoot prep compared to others that I've done before, compared to when I competed, etc. in the past, I was a lot busier. There was a lot of moving parts. The business is busier than ever. We've been going through a very heavy hiring process, been working 12+ hour days, very much desk bound, which I haven't been in previous preps. And things were different, but like I say, the fact is I still managed to see an amazing result and I was super happy with the final outcome despite having these things to navigate. And it was just through having a different way of doing things, having different expectations for myself, having a different setup in place. In the past, I was able to go with more time, do more of this, more of that. And it's like, this time around, I couldn't do that. It was all about being super efficient with the time that I had and really, really diligent with the setup that I had. So we're gonna run through a few things that were super important for me getting that result. So number one, the importance of elimination. And this applies to anyone who's successful in life, anyone who wants to achieve anything. It's so important that we look at this. And this is by looking at what you normally do on a week-by-week basis and dropping the things that don't align. Things that you don't really want to do, but you do. Things that you say yes to that you don't really actually want to say yes to. And it is super important that we then have not even the selfishness, but actually the know-how on and the reason why that we would say no to things. Because it's so easy to mold to other people, to say yes to anything and everything. And that's where a lot of people get overwhelmed and then they struggle to see the result they want. So you want to look at what you're doing on a week-by-week basis and eliminate the things that just don't align with where you want to get. And at the end of the day, if people don't understand that, if people want to push back against that, they're not probably the right people to have in your life. Because the people who truly see why you're doing something, they're on board with the goal that you have and they want you to achieve things that you want to achieve, they're the right people to have and they're not going to have any problem with you saying no to something or you eliminating something from your life. And this also applies just to pointless shit that we do on a day-to-day basis that we just don't need to do. Next up was delegation. Again, really important. There's probably things in all of our lives right now that we're doing that we don't really need to do, that we could probably pay someone else to do to save ourselves time and then for us to get a better return from it. And that applies to your business, that applies to your personal life. But that was something, again, super important. And again, why I've been going through quite a heavy hiring process is because there's things that I was doing in my life that were taking up a lot of my time that just weren't needed. So again, really, really important. And then again, the last thing, which is a big thing, is just having someone in your corner who can actually hold you accountable and actually make those changes and work with you to relieve stress from you and then to actually enable you just to show up, follow the plan and get the result that you want. And there to be able to support you on those weeks where things get overwhelming. Because even though I've done it time and time again, do not get me wrong, during this prep, there were weeks where I was super stressed. Work was getting a lot. Like everything just felt very overwhelming. And I was very close at times to just calling it a day and just thinking like, this isn't the right time. But I didn't do that because I knew and I wanted to show that it is more than possible, even with a lot of things to navigate, not perfect circumstances, it is still perfectly doable to see a great result. So now let's run through each of the elements of getting a great result. So number one is your training. In the past, I've trained 6 days a week. I had an hour and a half, 2 hours for training, no problem at all. Didn't need to rush things. This time around, I had 60 minutes max per session. That's what I time blocked into my calendar and that is what I was able to do. So with that, super important that we were super efficient with the time that I was spending in the gym, that my execution was dialed in, so I was getting the most out of every exercise, that I was tracking my progress on these exercises and progressively getting stronger and eliminating the fluff from workouts. There's always going to be certain exercises, certain things we do in sessions that just aren't needed. So we removed all of that, focused on the things that actually mattered, pushed progression, focused on execution, and then I got an equally great result, even maybe training half the amount of time that I might have trained in the past. So that's your training. In terms of output, I work a very heavily desk-bound job. You might see me working in the fitness industry, etc., which yes, of course I do. But that doesn't mean that I move a lot. I work from my laptop, I work online. I don't move. I had days during this prep where I was on back-to-back calls, client setups, etc., just sat on my desk all day. And it would get to the end of the day and I've done 2,000-3,000 steps, very much similar to a lot of you guys who are working desk-bound jobs. But this is where it was super important, on the most part, to build in short and often walks through my day. Starting my day with some steps, ending my day with some steps, and then any time during the day, maybe I was replying to messages or I was having a little bit of a break from my laptop, doing a phone call, whatever it might be, I was able to then build in those steps so I could still move, still hit my step count target. Cardio was used first thing in the morning, so that I was always starting my day with something that aligned to my goal, and was at a time in the day that it didn't really eat into my work. It wasn't clashing with calls, etc. So that's how we got the cardio in and the steps in. And then nutrition. It's so important, and I've always said this, and it's always been an important part, but this time around even more important than ever, was making sure that I was on top of my meal prep. 2 meal prep sessions a week, 45 minutes at a time, covering my meals for the day, for multiple days at once. That way, within an hour and a half, you've covered your food for the whole week. You don't need to think about food on a day-to-day basis. When things are super busy, all you need to do is go to the fridge, grab your meal, put it into microwave for a minute and a half, and you're ready to go. If you fail to do this and you aim to be cooking things fresh or mixing and matching meals all the time, that's where the easy option will creep in, because there's going to be days where you're super stressed, pushed for time, etc. And guess what happens then? The easy option's taken. The Deliveroo is ordered. And that way you're not going to be pushing forward and seeing that level of progress that you really could. So that was super important. And then with the meal setup as well. And it might sound boring, but it depends what you actually want. Do you want a great result? Do you want an average result? If you want a great result, simplicity really does work. I kept my meal plan super simple. And for a lot of people, they look at it and it's really boring. But for me, it's easy to stick to. I don't need to think about it. It's something that's repeatable. It minimizes the amount of meal prep that I need to do. And that worked very well this time round. In the past, I might have had more variation. I might have had different things in there, which, look, if we can do it, it's great. It's nice to have that. But sometimes it's just not possible. And sometimes that simplicity really does pay dividends when you are super busy, stressed with everything else. Keeping your food as easy as possible and the least amount of thinking into your nutrition is best for you actually sticking to it. And then it's like I say, with the accountability, we had that in place, weekly check-ins, someone checking in on me to make sure I was doing the thing that was needed, and just someone to, in the back of my head, I wanted to please. I wanted to make sure that they were proud of me. So that then, even on those days where that easy option was in the head, I was still pushing forward and trying to get after my goal. So these were really important, guys. And in terms of like social events, etc., when I'm dieting, when I'm prepping, and this isn't the same for all clients, it really depends on the circumstance, but I generally won't eat anything off plan. I won't drink, etc. I'm not a big drinker as is anyway. But for me, I was still able to socialize. I was still able to use time at weekends to see friends, family, etc. But I just made sure that I had my prep with me, that I went for a decent option, etc. And that worked, again, incredibly well. So that's pretty much the setup there, guys. And a few of the takeaways that you can take from this to apply into your own journey, if you are someone in a similar position to myself where work's getting a lot and personal life, etc. is a lot right now, and you feel that you can't get a result. Number one is that simplicity is going to be a game changer. Keep things simple. The easier it is, the more simple it is, the more likely it is that you're going to stick to it. Number two is making sure that you have got help there. Having someone who's checking on you, having someone that you want to make proud, really important. It's someone who can mold things to your life and your circumstances so that you don't need to think about it and you don't need to add additional stress onto your plate. Number three is making sure that you are as efficient with your time as possible. And that is where you go with your training, prioritizing compounds, really focusing on the intensity in those sessions. With your food, making sure you have meal prep sessions instead of trying to cook all the time. With your output, building it into your day instead of going for hours of long walks. These three things are super important to anyone's fat loss result, and it will make your fat loss a hell of a lot easier. And guys, if you want a system in place for yourself to get you a great result over these next 3 to 6 months and have you losing over 20 pounds of body fat, DM the word lean or drop my page a follow, and there will be weekly content on how you can level up your own fitness and get that result that you're looking for. And guys, it's more than doable. Like I say, what I've had recently is an incredibly busy, stressful life, very much like yourselves. And again, I've proven it is more than possible. Yes, it's not easy. Yes, it's harder when you are busy and there's a lot on your plate, but it is more than doable. And trust me that you will find you will show up better for your work. You will show up better for those around you when you get into great shape. So hopefully there's some value in here, guys. And if there is, drop my page a follow for the weekly content.